All right, today's walk starts at 6:13. It is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. I could have gotten out of here a little bit earlier, but it's pretty early, 6:13, and it is light out enough to walk. The sun is not up. When it does come up, it will get hot quickly. So I want to actually record this walk, and I think I'll write down that I'm leaving at 6:13. I've got a new route that I want to take that is similar to the old route, but it's going to be really great. And I'm going to try and do as fast a walk as I can. Not like trying to be extra fast, but just, not dink around. I probably won't do any recording on the camera. I'll listen to an audiobook. I'm currently listening to Radical Honesty, which I've liked the book for a long time, but I never read it because I don't have a copy. But I got an audiobook of it, and I like to listen to audiobooks while I'm walking. And I very much like the idea of us, I already know points of disagreement I have with this guy. I've read a lot about what he said. I've read interviews with him or heard interviews, things like that. I have some points of disagreement, but the direction he's headed in with it, I really like. And I think that one of the greatest sources of conflicts that we have is constant lying. I think one example that we can use to see that well is in sitcoms, where people are constantly making tiny lies. You look at Seinfeld or the other shows and Friends, and some tiny lie, and people not being willing to be open with each other causes greater conflict. And that happens in real life as well, of course, with very serious and damaging consequences. So that'll be my book for the day. I won't finish it probably, but it's going to be a quick walk. This is going to be the shortest route that I think will be a common route for me to take. After this, I don't think that I'm going to be exploring any more walking routes. I see no point. I mean, there's kind of dangerous, harsh ones I can do, but I hate doing those alone because I'm afraid I'll fall over and break something. Wonder why I would feel that way. I'm not as adventurous in some ways as I used to be. Well, that's not true. I'm still adventurous. I still go on those walks, but I don't feel like I should. I'm just asking for trouble. Trouble eventually happens. So this will be a nice, straightforward walk. And got a lot on my mind. I need to get an online job. It's critical. And need to clean my life up. I also have a nonprofit I need to start in the U.S. And I don't totally know how to do that, but I need to write it up. And it doesn't seem like rocket science. And that will also help with all future projects and financing them. Because I've been avoiding doing projects certain ways because I don't want to get into complicated financial situations. So, see you later. A couple other things I want to do here on the property in the forest is develop more destinations, because in most cases I don't want people going off walking in unknown locations, and that means I need to improve my trails. I used to have a trail that went all around the whole property, but that grew over due to lack of use, and it was never, a well-built trail. It was just a thin trail, and I would actually like to make trails be flat without a lot of rocks on them, clear them of branches, and we can dig most of them like we did before, but I also wouldn't mind to have a small bulldozer to just really make trails that last for a very long time. I can get free sawdust to dump on them. I can dump sand on them. In other words, really make higher quality trails. I don't know that I'm interested as much anymore in having one big loop trail around the whole thing. as much as I am having more destinations you can go to. Like I just passed a spot where there's an entire park I can make in a ravine. It would be just amazingly awesome. And making it once really well would be fantastic. And it would be a lot of work because it's not flat in there. And I want to have a small stream that goes down it. So that means building trails on the sides of that. I want to have ponds for wildlife and birds and stuff. So I always make things more complicated than they need to be. But if I have the complex design in place, then I cannot waste my time making things the wrong way. Because one of my big philosophies is don't build things that you have to retrofit. Retrofitting is a waste of energy. I mean, well, the energy was wasted when you did it the wrong way the first time. So we have to design out for what doesn't exist now. Design for that. There's a whole area down in here. There's no good trail to get into there at all. And I used to have a better trail that went through there a little bit. And I could make one. I could make an entry over there. And I also want to make level trails in there. So it'll actually be kind of a zigzagging pattern to go down through there. There's no reason to walk through there, so it doesn't have to be an efficient trail in that case. It breaks the rules for what we would want in other trails. This would be a leisurely trail, and we would then figure out where these on-contour trails go, and then how they switch back. And there obviously would be some slope because you have to eventually go down. But, it could have alcove benches, not on the trail, but off to the side. Places to sit, enjoy the day. Again, I would like water features in there. It would be a perfect spot for them. There's a lot of wildlife in that area in general. And I can think of, 100 other spaces for little shrines and a little gathering point. I made a circle of cedars, and that's a spot made for having a fire in the middle of it so the smoke goes up. It blocks the wind, So that's what I want for future walks, I think, around here. One of the other things I was thinking about for design of the space, in terms of cultural design, is, I had thought about these various workshops we could have. And I have notes on all these and ideas, and, like we could do a radical honesty one. We could do writers' workshops of all kinds. But I also think I should have a monthly calendar of intro workshops, which are presented on video, on nice big screens, and people all share an introduction to some unusual concept. Because there's a bunch of unusual concepts I would love to introduce to people. The video gives them the basic vocabulary. It ties the concept into other concepts. It gives them a framework for it. And then right after people watch that, as they're taking notes, perhaps even watching it twice, I think that's worth it. Watch it, take a little bit of notes, and leave space in your notes, and then take a break, watch it again, fill out your notes a little bit more. Maybe some of these videos come with a glossary sheet with it, so that your terms are already written down. You don't need to take note of terms. You can just see the term. Maybe those sheets should be in order even, of like when we introduce them, as opposed to alphabetical. But it goes from terms that you're less likely to know and that we need to use to build on other terms or other concepts. And anyway, then the third part of that introduction, we don't need a teacher because we've got the video, right? But the third part of it is a videoed conversation. Video's optional, but a videoed conversation of people saying what their impressions are of that topic, what their questions are, how they feel that relates to their experience and knowledge, and that really takes the introduction and the conversation to a whole nother level. And if we video it, we can even then share it with other people to have a higher level discussion, or many discussions about that and how that thing fits in with the world that we envision and the world that we don't want to have. That would be great. And we could offer those every damn day. There's no reason not to offer it a bunch of times, because people can also then watch the videos we've recorded of people responding to it, and that would then inspire even deeper explorations. I love that idea. It's a great activity idea. And it even combines maybe with going on walks, because I've also thought about the idea of many times about having routes that we go, stopping and having group conversation spots. How to film these is another trick, but where the discussion happens in that very comfortable spot, and you take a little break, and then you walk on, and then you have another phase of that same thing occurring. I guess we could do the video part, because we don't want to be moving video equipment around for showing stuff that much. But although I guess people could be on people's individual devices too, who knows. Anyway, but we fill their brains up, and then they go on this walk, and then we could film the response during the walk, on these breaks during the walk. I think that would be really interesting, educational, fun. All right, so it's 6:51. I got town at like 6:40. Nothing's open, and I wanted to pick up some beers for my walk, but now I've already delayed. I don't know. Buenos días. ¿Vas a abrir un rato? Okay. Así. Sí, dos caguamas. All right, this guy's gonna open up his store for me. That puts me back on track. But I lost some minutes there. So if it was 6:40:51, so I've lost, we'll call it 12 minutes. Is that accurate? By the time I get out of here, it'll be a little bit more. So I'll just have to figure out at the end of the walk what effect that had. All right, 6:54. So 6:40:54, 14 minutes. Let's call it 15 minutes. So I'm going to take 15 minutes off of my time for this walk when I get to the end. Yeah. And this also reminds me that in the forest, I should have stores, and I already knew that. But I want there to be probably one place in the most public spot. I can kind of pick where that is. It's the intersection of a few spots. It's 24/7. And then have other ones that are also open later hours and earlier hours. It's almost better if things close during the middle of the day, and that we have two shifts, an early one and a later one. Because, and I do want a spot that every day is, what's going on up there? It's suspicious. I don't know, that it always has light and warmth. Because let's say people are camping and it's cold. Having a spot that was always light and warm would be really handy. And preferably not just with a fire, but with a building heated with evacuated tube solar hot water heaters. Fucking God, town is so annoying. And make town not be annoying. My town. I love this town. It's a great town. But barking dogs all over the place, dogs on chains, dogs behind fences. It's annoying. All right, so it's 8:02, and I started at 6:13. I lost a little bit of time in the little town because the store was closed, and the trail could be better. Slowed me down a little bit. It's all right. So, if that's the case, 6 to 8 is 2 hours minus 13 minutes. We'll call that 15. So that's an hour 45 minutes. I wasted time in town. Let's call that 15 minutes. It may not be accurate. So it's essentially, it was an hour and a half morning walk. That's a nice sized walk. That's very pleasant. And I did imagine that, I mean, not only can I do walks here on the property and develop those better, that's really the biggest solution, is for people to just go from place to place that's really cool and known in a known area. But I could also have a loop that went over there, down that ridge, or well, it could go either way, either direction. Goes over there, down that ridge, across the railroad tracks, and then comes back up here on the road. And that would be actually relatively similar amount of time. It'd be a little bit longer walk, but has a little bit more railroad time, which is kind of cool, walk along the railroad. I just think that's a sort of a romantic thing. I don't know, I like railroads. I grew up with them, so I like them. So yeah, figuring out the best walks. I think maybe I'll change my focus now to defining and developing, like I have been defining areas of this property, and then defining walks within them. That's hard to do because it's almost the opposite goal. It's dividing the property up, but then also having walking that goes all further around it. You know, of course, I've got longer hikes to develop as well, way up into the hills. And that's another really interesting thing to think about for people who really want to hike. Because just living here, things are far apart. So you get some walking in just living. People have commented on that to me before who have visited, and they're like, oh my God, I'm walking everywhere, because they're used to like always being in a vehicle. They're not used to walking, which is terrible for your health. It's a terrible way to live. And this is walking in a forest. So even as I divide things up, I'll consider all that. I got a lot of thinking to do. But reasonable walk. Thanks for going with me. I didn't talk a lot because I've been listening to my book, Radical Honesty.